Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to Let's Play some Galactic Civilizations 4 Supernova. Galciv 4 Supernova is, well, to me it feels like Galciv 4.5 is what it is. Originally, Galciv 4 dropped on the Epic Game Store. It is now on Steam and includes this Supernova edition here, which has a dramatic number of changes from the base game that I'm very excited to dive into. A lot of which, I mean, a bunch of it does have to do with gameplay, but a lot of it has to do with flavor and story content, which I'm very excited about. Version 1.7 just dropped. Literally, I downloaded like 10 minutes ago, so I'm happy to get in here. I've been playing on 1.66, I think was the one before this, just to practice and warm up. But this sponsored video, hey, by the way, this is a sponsored video, specifically was to be started with the 1.7 drop, which I'm really hyped about. If you check the description box down below, you'll find more information out about Galactic Civilization 4 Supernova, as well as where you can grab it. There should be a Steam link down there for you, or I might do a bit.ly redirect, but just take a look and you'll find something that should be the right thing for you. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump in and look at what is actually the first big feature that we got here in Galciv 4, which is the ability to procedurally generate your own species. If you go and you hit this button over here with custom civilization, if you type in a civilization name and a description, you can then generate, using AI, your own species. I believe it's using ChatGPT behind the scenes to fill in those blanks, which is really cool. Now, if I've done my job correctly at this moment, you're actually seeing an overlay of a video I did earlier, species I did earlier, for the Church of the Gilbert, a species that we have seen come up before in our sci-fi gaming, and I was happy to bring it in here. So all I did is type in the name of the Church of the One True Gilbert here, as well as a very brief description, and choose a couple of traits. And then when I generated, we got a nice description of our species, all put in some extra backstory, as well as some AI-generated art. The art that's being generated is all based on Galciv's existing library of art that they fed into their AI to produce things, which is great. Fantastic. So I'm really excited to be playing the Church of the True Gilbert, an intuitive and loyal species. We are going to start with a colony ship and a flagship. Our cultural focus is going to be collectivism, and we are carbon-based because I understand how carbon-based species should work. So if I go ahead and hit next over here, we get to pick our galactic settings. Now, I was advised, for this initial look-see at the game and demo the game, to run a fairly small galaxy with a single sector. I don't know if I'm going to do that, because it is actually a great way to start off the game. Definitely, I would recommend tiny or small with a single sector for your first go, because it makes things really straightforward. But what I really actually quite like is something like this. A tiny galaxy, yes, but a large number of sectors. So this actually will end up making a fairly decent amount of space, but all separated into tiny subsectors, which I think is a really fun way to play the game. In particular, this is something that Galciv 4 introduced that wasn't in previous version of Galactic Civilization, and I think is quite entertaining. So I kind of want to do this, which is going to generate a bigger universe than was recommended for the initial little stream here, but I think this is fantastic. I am going to set this galactic proximity to far. I want some space around myself for initial exploration. I'm going to keep everything else to normal and occasional, which is the default baseline over here. Let's get some advanced settings where we can tweak some of the rules. I didn't punch any of these things in, so presumably this is the default that is set up. If I'm wrong about that, then I apologize, but I don't think I did anything over there. Anyway, we'll go ahead and hit next. Now, one thing you'll notice, so if you go, I just did the thing where I did like a tiny or even small galaxy. You can see here with the small galaxy, the maximum number of players is set to 5. So even though I kept the galaxy size small, in fact, I went to tiny, by increasing the number of sectors, I'm actually making a much larger galaxy, because if you look here, it says it's got the maximum of 67 player size. By the way, you can go and make an absolutely ginormous game over here. In multiplayer, I think there's a cap of, I want to say 8 actual human players. I mean, I'm not talking about the species here. I'm talking about, humans versus AI. But yeah, you can have up to, maybe with different settings, you can even push this number even higher here. But I don't want that. I want tiny galaxy, huge number of sectors. Each sector is going to be tiny, but I like it because each one of them is going to feel very homey and have some personality. And that's what I'm looking for. Now, I don't want quite this many alien races in here. I'm going to bring this down to something like 12. Again, I just kind of want some space to explore. So we've set ourselves up. We're going to have the Festrin Hunt, the Altarian Republic, and a bunch of randoms. Actually, let's go and just do all randoms over here. No idea who we're going to get. Let's find out. I like it when you go back to the main menu. It says, the first thing it says is something like destroying the galaxy. Just a wonderful little tooltip here. Or overlay. Oh! I don't know if I remember there being a cutscene here when you start the game. It probably was. Or it might be new in 1.7. This looks like footage out of the gameplay trailer that just dropped a couple of days ago before I recorded this. So maybe it wasn't in the game before. That was very cool. This is a long ship. It's a long ship. You know, it reminds me of so the first Star Wars movie, Phantom Menace. No, I'm talking about A New Hope, obviously. That opening crawl with the Star Destroyer that just never ends and really blew people's minds at the time. Well, this is the same sort of vibe that's going on here. I mean, this thing is just massive. I like it. I like what the sort of biodomes, the hemispheres. All right. So the Church of the True Gilbert. Our motto is Paws of Devotion, Claws of Dominion. Made by the AI. All of this is made by the AI. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, amidst the celestial tapestry of stars, a dominant force emerges, the Church of the True Gilbert. With regal grace and feline prowess, this theocratic empire of enigmatic feline humanoids strides across the galactic stage, their influence spreading like whispers through the cosmic winds. Clad in garments woven from the finest cosmic fibers, their appearance is both majestic and mysterious, reminiscent of ancient deities revered in long-forgotten cultures. Oh, like Egypt, right? At the heart of their dominion lies an unyielding devotion to a higher power known as the True Gilbert. This divine entity, shrouded in eternal wisdom and infinite compassion, guides the Church's every action with a celestial hand. Their society, built upon the tenets of faith and spiritual enlightenment, thrives in perfect harmony, governed by an intricate network of religious hierarchies and sacred rituals. The feline humanoids that comprise the Church possess an inherent understanding of the universe. Their intuitive... strengths and weaknesses? Is that... Oh, that's cool. The Church of the True Gilbert, a feline theocracy, strikes fear with their devout loyalty and intuitive cunning. Their unity is their strength, but blind faith may lead them vulnerable to manipulation. All written by AI. How awesome is that? We've got our planet here, the sunny spot. Wonderful. And we've got a look here. So we've got here the galaxy, but this is our sector. You can see by this round area, this is a very tiny sector. And again, I kind of like this setting, me personally. Again, by the default, if you were doing one sector, even if you're on a tiny or small size, it would be considerably larger than this. But I think this is fantastic. I really dig it. I like our little advisors here with all the little cat portraits. That's great too. We've got a few other tabs, although they're not currently going to be all that useful because there's not a ton there. We can just collapse this outliner as well. But it's quite cool. I do spend a lot of time, depending on what I'm doing. A lot of times I've got the planet view up, and then sometimes I'm checking these other ship tabs. But I've got to say, this little advisor tab is quite good to see if you're missing anything along the way. So actually, let's see what they have to say over here. Hey, executive orders are available to enact. Let's use that right away. So executive orders is this button over here. We've got a currency called control. By default, you generate one per month. This date over here, you can toggle this between month and number of turns. The number of turns is less flavorful, but might be a little bit more useful to gauge where you are. Because one game you'd be like, okay, it's turn 100, I've got 4 colonies. Another game is like, oh, it's turn 100, I've got 8 colonies. Another one, oh, it's turn 100, I only have 2 colonies. What's going on, right? So can't decide which one I like better. I like the flavor of the actual date, but maybe I'll go to the turn number over here for us. Yeah, so we generate 1 control per month or 1 control per turn from our planet, our home planet. Other things may contribute to more later on, but as we've got that, we've got the control over here. We're going to use right away to draft some more colonists. Yeah, it'll generate a little bit of negative approval, but people will get over with. And then we'll have an extra colony ship, which is going to be extremely useful for the early game. Other civilizations admire our culture. Our discovery ship, the Gilbert spaceship, should go and discover other anomalies. We'll go and take a look at that in a second. And yeah, we should build some things in our shipyard. That all sounds pretty good. So let's take a look at what vessels we've got here. We've got the GSS Discovery here. This is our flagship. One of the things that is special about the flagship is that it can be used to survey anomalies. Do I see one at a glance? No, so I guess we'd have to go and explore a little bit first. Let me actually cycle through my ships over here There, this probe over here, are basically not, like, they don't have any combat strength or anything like that, but they do move quickly. Probe class ships also have the advantage that space monsters and things ignore them. They're just too small. But we'll go ahead and, like, just move you over here for a second. I was hoping that we might be able to just spot an anomaly. Oh, wait, hold on. There's one over here. There's some space junk right there. I hadn't quite noticed. So if we go and find ourselves, there we go, our flagship, and we tell you go over here, we can get you to examine that. In fact, what we'll be making use of is the auto survey option over here, so we don't actually have to micromanage that. Let's go through. Actually, I'm going to click the button down here. This is going to cycle through the various tasks that we have to take care of before we have to end our turn. So we've got research here. Currently we're only generating 2 research points per turn, which is not a tremendous amount, but we'll be going to kick that up relatively soon. There's actually 6 techs that we can currently research, not just these 2 over here. We've got 4 others. The thing is, we get these techs that are highlighted here, which we have a 50% research bonus to pursue, which I kind of like this in-between mix, because you are incentivized to grab these, but you don't necessarily have control over which show up here. So if there's a tech you really want, like let's say you really want to prioritize universal translators so you can talk to the weird freaky aliens that you meet out there, we could do that immediately now. It would just take longer than if we than if it showed up in here, but we don't know when it's going to show up over there. So we've got the control, but also a little bit of a variation by having this randomized tech kind of thing. And I really like this as a middle ground. Subspace scanning is going to be very important with our setup, because this is how we detect subspace streams. And then we'll also be able to, it leads to the subspace streaming tech, which is the tech that allows us to follow those subspace streams, which is how we get in between different sectors. Basically, they're going to be like wormholes, effectively, from sector to sector. So it's going to be really important on this map. I don't know if I want to start with this, although it does give us extra range and sensor range, which is going to be really nice for initial exploration. Colonial policies over here does unlock an extra policy slot, which is super powerful. Also leads to research districts and xeno-industrialization. You know what? I think I like the idea of the colonial policies. We're going to research that. We can go ahead and take a look at the tech tree over here. We've got the tech navigator. There are 4 different categories that we can look at. So if there's something specific that you're trying to look at, you can always go ahead and try to organize your research that way. And then, yeah, just read up about all text in the library here. But generally speaking, I don't really bother with that. I mostly just look at the screen over here, and it seems to work out okay. So we'll start with colonial policies. That's going to be fine. We're now going to be prompted to move some ships. So we've got a couple of colony ships. We started with one, and I used my executive order to generate another one. I'm tempted to use some executive order power here to do a telescope takeover to quickly get some scouting done. The thing is, I think for me the most valuable thing is draft colonists. It costs 33 control to use. You can use it every 8 months. And I probably want to do that as often as possible. So I think I'm not going to push the button on these others, although an early telescope takeover might be good to guide your exploration. But for me, I feel like the draft colonist is just way too important. There is a very convenient auto-colonize button with these colony ships, which I will almost certainly make use out of. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send this one over here as kind of exploration. And then, oh, didn't realize it. Hitting tab is the same as in the bottom right button. I assumed it was going to cycle to the other colony ship, but it's bringing us to the shipyard first, where we're going to queue up something. Early colony ships is very important. I kind of like the idea of maybe one more probe first. I'm going to go ahead and do this just so that we can get a little bit more exploration happening. And then after that, I'm probably going to do like maybe a couple of colony ships. So I'm going to throw those into the queue. We could spend money to rush. We're actually starting with a tremendous amount of cash over here. I think I will. I'm going to go ahead and rush the probe. You can only rush one thing per turn. But let's get that going. There you go. Now the other ship over here, this colony ship, I'm going to send you to Dragonstar 7-1. Because it is a planet we can colonize. We basically want to colonize every single planet. A lot of these will stay as simple colonies as opposed to full-on core worlds. A colony, you don't really micromanage. Instead, it's outputs. So in this case, Dragonstar's 2 minerals, 2 science, 1 wealth, 0 food, and 1... Is that tourism? I'm trying to remember what that last icon is. Cultural input. That's what it is. that will go and get sent to the nearest core world. In the case we only have a single core world, which is Sunny Spot, you do get a decay to how much it produces based on the distance it has to travel. So where you organize your core worlds is going to be maybe based around the placement of these colonies. But more important, we need the colonies to be high, or the planets to be high enough quality. This is a class 2 planet. It's very poor. You actually, it needs to be at least level 10 to make it into a core world. And even then, I won't necessarily make any random level 10 planet into a core world. We've got a few other things we can do before we end turn. We do actually have enough cultural progress to go and take our first cultural point. I think it's one of the traits we've taken. Start us off some extra points over there, which is really nice. So this is one of the changes between the OG Galciv 4 and the Supernova version. The way the cultural progress works in these categories have been revamped pretty heavily. There's a lot of really tempting stuff in here. Now, it does act as a bit of a tree, so if you do want to get to, say, competitiveness over here at some point, you will want to progress down individualism. But the points that you generate, well, okay, you generate culture points, period, but then you can get these affinities, you can get these ideological discounts in different categories. Now, we're not starting with any tremendous amount. Okay, we do have a 26% discount on collectivism. And that's because of the race setup that we've got. We might also have citizens with a particular ideology. In this case, we don't have any for collectivism. But this discount is pretty nice. So unification here would only cost us 7 culture points, as opposed to the full 10. I don't know how important it is to take unification as is. There's going to be a lot of really great stuff down here. But, oh man, I do love more logistics for bigger fleets a lot. But I'm not convinced that unification is like the most important first thing to pick. So even though it's going to be slightly more expensive, I think what I'm probably going to do is under egalitarian, we've got fairness here, which gives you 3 free colony ships, which I think is huge. Individualism also gives you a really cool extra flagship, the Independence. More control points is okay. Unlocks an improvement. Progressivism is good for tech, right? You get 30 research instantly. You get an approval boost when you discover new technologies, and you get a bunch more bonus to tech down progressivism. So obviously that's very appealing. But I really feel, I can't remember what's pacifism, kindness, right? Construction ships, nihilism, 3 supply ships. I really like fairness to start off with 3 free colony ships. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't even have planets for them to colonize, but I'm going to take it regardless here. So these extra colony ships, I could manually send out in different directions. And that wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. So I think I will, as sort of quasi-scouts. I'm going to send one over that way. You're going to go over here. This one, I'm already sending one there. I'm sending one to this planet, but I'm going to send another one in this general direction. Plus, it's more centered to the sector. By the way, this line over here, this is currently the maximum range my ships have, which is not tremendous, but we are going to get an upgrade to that pretty soon. So all our advisors are currently satisfied, which is interesting because we didn't actually start anything on Sunny Spot. Oh, it's got something in a queue right away. Really? Establish a formal council to oversee and harness the potential of the best and brightest individual in our civilization. Oh, our leaders start locked. Is that a change to 1.7, or is it something specific to the race we've built? That's quite interesting. Okay, well, I guess we'll just go to the next turn now. Oh, right, and we're going to rush some more. Okay, this is good. We've got leader candidates now, so if we go over here, we got a leadership mechanic. We've actually started with a leader as well. We've got Brandon Me over here. And actually, we have ourselves as well. We have Gilbert, our leader here, the paradigm of the species, with 100% loyalty, massive stats. Actually, could arguably be moved off of being a planetary governor and into maybe a science role, but this is still going to be good. Focus, you get +2 diligence. Sovereign, right? +10 social from that. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, all right, so we're going to leave you there. What can we do with leaders? Well, there's a few things. First of all, to make a core world, which is a world we actually micromanage, you do have to have a leader assigned to it, so as we colonize more things, we might want to go and do that. We can also do some diplomatic stuff. If we do unlock some of these higher-end ships, we can go and, to actually activate them, we assign a leader to it. We've also got some faction stuff that we can do over here. But early on, the thing's going to be to assign these leaders to ministerial roles, so that we can get some passive bonuses going on. And ideally, we'd like to optimize that based on the traits of the leader. By the way, these leaders will all have a little bit of backstory, and they may get, well, there's no may, they they can get contextual events based on their backstory and traits they've got. So for Brandon here, once a wharf rat, hey, a rat, in the slums of bustling port city, they managed to escape their life of squalor and now lead with the... Oh, it's cut off here. Well, that's a shame. Game is still technically... Supernova is still technically in early access, so we might see a few things like that. You'll see there's a lot of other posts in the ministry here that are locked until we get some technology unlocked. Is there... Briff Moo here. Years spent as a sailor have taught them to be resourceful and comfortable with the solitude. I tend to like the ones who are like as much as 2 digits in a category. Okay, Jack Rakotic here. Doesn't have double digits, but has a couple of 9s. So we're going to go ahead and recruit them. Because I really like getting Minister of Technology early, but I'm not sure about these. I think what's going to happen is Brandon, with their social skill, will go and be the Minister of Colonization. So that's going to give us 9 extra approval. And Jack, with their 9 diligence, is going to come over here to give us 9 extra ship range and +1 movement. This range is actually going to be phenomenal. We'll keep an eye out for other ministers as the pool refreshes itself here. So yeah, our travel range now should be... Oh, I don't know if it updated immediately. So I think that was about the same distance as before. Okay, now we have to choose to do some construction in our home world here. We've got our capital city right over there. The capital city does give adjacency bonuses of +2 to all kinds of stuff. So one of the things you do when you place things on your hexes is you're going to want to, as much as possible, match the type of building you're placing down with the bonus that you get from either slot itself. So this forest over here has +1 to manufacturing level, or adjacency bonuses. So capital city gives +2 level to everything that's adjacent to it. One thing I probably want to do on my capital here is start off with a little bit of manufacturing. So you've got your raw input over here. So my raw input on this capital planet is 5 minerals from Sunny Spot itself. As we do establish more of those colonies that send their minerals over here, this number will increase. But then that number is being modified by various parameters to get your actual output. So our actual output, so this is our input, it's 5 minerals. Our output in manufacturing is only 4.3. And the reason for that is our approval maybe not as high as we would like. We're taking a big dip to our number from the approval. We do get some other things modifying it. The governor is giving us a bonus, and our workers are as well. And in fact, what I think I'm going to do here early on, this farmer, for example, here, so this citizen is a farmer and generating extra food. We can actually see that. If we mouse over the food, you can see farmer +14%. If I go and turn this farmer into a worker, then we lose that bonus from the food category, but it does increase our manufacturing output, which is really nice. Different citizens have different stats, and ideally you kind of want to match things one to the other. Right now, as an entertainer, I think you're really benefiting from the higher social skill over here, and later on we'll unlock the ability to make scientists, in which case Johnny War over here would probably be an ideal scientist type person. Yeah, we're gonna go and turn you into a worker and turn you into a worker as well. I really want a little bit more manufacturing early on. Is this correct? Is this optimal? I don't know, but I feel like it's probably a good idea to squeeze out a little bit more production. So I do want a decent amount of production on my home world. We're going to be reliant on it for a fair amount of manufacturing here. And I think what we might do is make our capital world here our industrial center. This is a civilization achievement. You can only have 1 per civilization, but it does give a pretty tremendous amount of extra manufacturing adjacency. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put the industrial center here. You can see it's got a little 2 underneath it because it's going to get a level 2 boost from being adjacent to the capital. You can see the little arrow and everything. So it's going to benefit there. And then what we can do after that is we can build extra manufacturing districts. Over here, this is going to get a level 4 boost because it's getting 2 from the capital and 2 from the industrial center. They also adjacency bonus each other as well. So there, this is now going to have a level 3 boost from being adjacent to this one. And over here, you can see this is now a level 4 boost because it's getting 2 from the industrial center, 1 from the manufacturing district, and 1 for the tile itself, which has an industrial bonus, which sounds great. I'm going to go ahead and rush the industrial center. There we go. You can only rush 1 thing per turn, so I can't rush a second thing here. But right away, now our manufacturing's up to 7.8, which is going to accelerate everything else. And in fact, I'll probably rush the other manufacturing district on the next turn, if I remember. Sometimes I forget things, you know? Now, our science output has dropped somewhat. Well, that's turns until discovery, which is good. Oh yeah, colonial policies technology, which we're unlocking now, is actually, yeah, it's very important to get that one first. I'm really happy I did that because we're going to want that control. All right, I think we can go ahead and hit tab. What do we got? Oh, this probe. Oh, that's right. That's the probe I rushed. Do I want to rush a colony ship? I think the answer is yes. I'm going to do that. So this probe here, yeah, this one has huge range. I think I'm just going to put you on auto explore. So we've got a bouton right here, explore. I knew the hotkey, I just didn't remember what button it was. If we hit X, this probe will go and start auto exploring. It'll just pop open Fog of War, which is going to be really handy. You guys know me, I'm pretty lazy, so I like the automation. So we're going to colonize Dragonstar 7-1 and get a little cutscene. With the establishment of this colony, we've taken our first steps into the galaxy. Our colonists represent everything which makes our people great, and with that, they'll have every chance of thriving on this new alien world. Okay, sometimes you get events from colonizing worlds, especially the big ones. If you start with the humans, the regular, like, the Earthicans, the Terrans, and you colonize Mars, you will get a good event, which is kind of nice. All right, we have leaders available here. Yeah, I'm not going to do that quite yet. Still hoping for that to recharge, but you can see Dragonstar. You see this dashed line heading to Sunny Spot. So Dragonstar has that extra mineral science and wealth and culture income, which is then being delivered to Sunny Spot. So if we go back over here, you can see the planetary input is now at 6.89 as an input. So Dragonstar had a value of 2. We're not getting all of it because it does have that 6% decay, but it's still doing a huge boost over here, and then that's further getting multiplied by all our perks, which is just improving these numbers considerably. I think oh yeah, I already rushed this planet, that's fine. Well, so we've got a probe over here. I think I'm going to keep this probe on Auto Explorer as well. So we'll have a couple of auto exploring probes, and that's going to be good enough. All right, citizens for our colony ship. So we don't have to do this for the free one, but when you build a colony ship, you have to take one of your citizens from the planet and put it on the colony ship. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll look for the ones that have the lower baseline approval rate, and throw them onto the colony ship, or if if they have bad stats, we'll do that. Now, if we do colonize a real world, their stats kind of matter, but a lot of these small colonies don't really factor too much mechanically. So I usually just look for someone who's unhappy and then throw them on a ship. And it's going to be based a lot in terms of expectation. Now, the workers do have a low expectation to start off with, although this one here is a worker who's still not incredibly happy. Yeah, 14 basic in expectation is pretty high. You're going to go ahead and be on a ship. You're now colonist classed. That's going to be okay. Colony policies just finished, so we're going to be able to enact policies now, which is great, and leads to tech-like research districts. So again, with the map I've set up, the subspace scanning is going to be really important, but I think I kind of like the idea of being able to build research districts as early as possible, get the tech rate going on. And now if I were to hit tab or hit this button, it's going to be reminding us that we have an empty policy slot, which we can also access over here. We've got access to the civilization menu, where I can mess with the tax rate. For example, assuming I'm making positive money, I could drop the tax rates down a level, increases approval, and then gives us bigger outputs for things. You can see here, it's not changing the amount of science per turn we produce, but we'd be losing 1 money and gaining 1 production, which I think is probably worthwhile, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. But more importantly, perhaps, is we do have these civilization policies. I currently have 1 slot available to put one of these in here. We've got a few different policies. Some have pros and cons, like here, course colonization massively increases our growth rate, but shrinks our approval. Heart of the Empire is just plain out good. It only applies to the home world, although right now we only have a home world. So it increases influence growth and gross income. Land exploitation pollutes but gives us gross income. And professionalism, just more experience points. I think I like Heart of the Empire early on. Although right now our approval is actually okay. We could run course colonization, but I think this is going to be handy. There we go. It was worth an extra money per turn, which I think is going to be a good idea. Yeah, and then influence growth is going to help with some of the border expansions. Not that it's a huge deal at this particular juncture. Okay, we've started to survey this space junk with our... sorry, that's the colony ship. This space junk over here with the flagship. Okay, we have this colony ship, which we've just built and just put someone in there, is now ready to go. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to go ahead and hit auto colonize. And what it's going to happen is if it knows of a planet that can be colonized, and currently we don't, but if we did, it would go towards it. If it doesn't, it'll just do exploration. Now, what we may have wanted to do, and oh yeah, and our radius definitely did increase. I may have wanted to specifically steer this one, and I think I will, towards a star. with the hope that there will be a colonizable planet there, as opposed to just having it explore in a random area. I mean, it's still useful to explore over here. There might be anomalies and things like that we're going to want to pick up. But that, to me, is a job more for probes. If I'm going to explore with my colony ships, usually I want to send them to an actual star, personally. All right, next turn. Speaking of colony ship, this one here just became idle. Looks like Dragonstar might not have any other colonizable planets over here. There is one here, but it's a dead world, which we can't do anything with currently, although there's some things you will be able to do with later on. So I'm just going to go, and I don't know if the color of the stars does have an influence on the amount of planets you might find. My instinct normally would go to be going towards yellow stars as maybe the most inhabitable. I don't know if that's actually a thing in this game, but maybe we'll go there. This blue star was a little closer, but maybe if yellow stars are slightly more likely to have habitable planet worlds, then we'll head in that direction. All right, we've got some resources here, but oh, there we go. First anomaly survey. Our savior ship cautiously approaches the mysterious object. All sensors set the maximal gain. One of the universe's many secrets, perhaps a great danger or valuable treasure, will soon be revealed to us. So, we did that junk here. Survey was the Retribution. The remains of a powerful warship are scattered across this debris field. We should be able to reassemble the bulk of the ship from what remains, but it had a unique engine core and missile system, and both are missing. If only we could find those components, can we rebuild the ship? Interesting. Does that mean if we find more of those components, it'll be available in a list of things to construct? The Retribution. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's the flavor text I was just talking about. So what I'm going to do with my flagship over here, we could keep manually sending it to these little bits of space junk. Space junk. Rarely of great value, provide unique opportunities. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to automate it. Right here, survey. So it's just going to go to the nearest anomaly, survey it, repeat ad nauseum. I like, you know me, I'm very lazy. I like any game that's got some automation like that in there. Oh, hello! Stepanian 1. It's only class 3, but it is a planet. So let's colonize that. Oh, Stepanian 1. Stepanian 1. We've unlocked the research district tech. Great. Technology capital, orbital research labs, upgrade research grants, and it leads to, of course, more techs. This list here of available candidates is just going to keep growing and growing. It's going to be crazy. So Xeno Research here unlocks a few, it lets a wonder, like the Khazar's mainframe. I think it's called, is it Galactic Achievement? Something like that. But basically a wonder building, which is quite good. Also the ability to specialize our citizens into scientists. But I'm going to go ahead and grab subspace scanning now. I don't want to delay too long on the subspace stuff, because subspace streams are going to be very important for us to break out of this little starting area. Now, what I'm hoping for is that we are alone in our starting sector. Which again, maybe is not the greatest for early and exciting content, but I think is going to be the best for us to develop a really cool little world base here. Empire. So another low-class planet, Zelili. It's only class 2. It's got a thin atmosphere, but it does apparently have a bonus to food production, which is interesting. Food tends to grow well here, making it attractive to a colony to feed hungry core worlds. Well, again, I don't think there's any reason not to colonize it, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Oh, and we did build that other colony ship. Yeah. All right, we'll just grab someone else, throw it on that colony ship. That's going to be fine. So what kind of decay are we getting here? See, minus 29%. We're losing quite a bit of the output of this planet. Ideally, what we'd want... Oh, yeah, and there's another world there. What we'd want is maybe a high-quality planet over here that we could turn into a core world. But yeah, we still haven't found any. We've got Vizard 2, which is low. Vizard 4 is a class 21. It's an amazing planet, but we can't colonize it until we've got precursor studies. That's just a no-go. And then, yeah, that poor planet over there. Okay, so still lacking an opportunity for another good core world. This colony ship over here, I'm going to go ahead and just put you on automatic. That's going to be okay. And then what are we going to queue over here? Well, let me take a look at Sunny Spot. How many more populations we have? We still have 3. We could go and do some more colonizing here. Of course, for every one of these we build, we lose a little bit of our manufacturing potential. That's not the end of the world. I do want to rush this manufacturing district. And then what? Well, I kind of expect I'm going to build a ring of manufacturing districts around this industrial center. We will be able to get some terraforming tech later that will go and let us get extra hexes over here. So I think I'm going to go and build this one. It's not going to be fantastic because it's only got the pure adjacency bonus right now, but it's going to grow and that's going to be okay. After that, well, let's see. I could go. We've got a Bernal Sphere over here. Upgrading this gives us charges that will increase population capacity in selected world. That will be quite cool. And a Prometheus Stone. Can be mined for, gives us 3 gross income. Okay. That's pretty valuable. We've also got a fair amount of research spots over here, which is going to be pretty nice to do with the research districts. Do I just want to start on the research districts immediately? I feel like I might. So I think the plan's going to be, I'm going to build these 3 here, and then we can put maybe, I don't know if I want to put the capital mainframe here because it's once per civilization. Although, you know what? I think I do like that idea. Our home world is going to do kind of all the things, I suspect. I mean, you can specialize the world, especially if you get like particular traits on your leader. But I think our home world is going to be responsible for lots of things all at the same time. So yeah, I think that's going to be okay. All right, so we'll do this for a little bit more production and then start some sciencing. And I will try to rush some more. Another colony ship, I'm going to auto-colonize you as well. Oh yeah, and then this shipyard. If you don't have any, if you don't want to build anything, you can just treasure hunt, which will just basically turn some construction into money, is basically the way it works. I don't know if I need extra probes right now. We might want to just start on construction ships. I'm going to get at least one going on, and then we're going to take a look and see if we find some planets to do colony ships. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to want more colony ships, but let's do a construction ship first. Get a starbase going on, because starbases are fun and entertaining. Oh, we discovered more stuff here. Vizier 1 is actually a class 18 planet. It is excellent. Let's make sure you're going there. And you are going to go over here. So we're going to colonize Vizier 1 and Vizier 2. Vizier 1 is going to be made into a core world, and it will benefit from the production of Vizier 2. I mean, at some point, Vizier 4 would, I suppose, ideally become a core world as well. It might be a little redundant here, so I may not. I mean, we're going to want to colonize it in general, just to get the flat bonuses being sent somewhere. And ideally, like, 4 is better than 1, because it's class 21 instead of an 18. But it's not the end of the world. This has the plus 50% research bonus. Do I do both? Just because ideally what I'd like is to have one planet get as many raw resources as possible. I wonder if we can just rush precursor studies and just make Vizier 4 our core world and ignore 1 completely. All right, we did some more surveying here. Stumbled upon a cargo hold lost in the vastness of space. Contains an advanced survey module. Possibly from an ancient civilization. This module could be used to give an existing ship the ability to investigate anomalies. Alternatively, it can be broken down in valuable antimatter sold for credit. So yeah, we can break it down for antimatter. We can sell it for money, but I'm going to store this artifact because it'll let us upgrade a regular ship to another one of these ships with a survey module, which is actually very nice because there's a lot of anomalies to research and just one flagship can't necessarily get them all. Plus, as they do it, sometimes they will get upgrades for their ships, and it'll be valuable to just try to cash in as many of those as possible. So our discovery here does have an upgrade available for it. We don't have the material required to do some of these military upgrades here, but we could crew quarters for 20% more hit points. We can bridge command for +1 move. We can communication terminal for +2 sensor range. I really like to have my my survey ships be quite mobile, but I often will grab, say, 1 tick of sensor range here because it might let them spot some extra debris around. So I like to give them 1 of those. And then after that, I tend to go for speed, just so that they can get to the debris faster. Depends a little bit on how many probes I build. If I build a lot of probes, then I really don't need the sensor range on discovery ships themselves, but yeah. Anyway, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go and put a cut in here. Subspace scanning is done. So now when we, and I will get subspace streaming right away. We will now have the ability to catch subspace streams on the edge of our little sector bubble over here. And that will be how we connect from sector to sector. This blue line here, by the way, shows who owns planets in this sector. So as far as we know, we're the only ones here. And I suspect that may be true at this point, which makes me very happy because I love the idea of being able to completely lock down a sector and maybe choke point along those subspace streamlines. As I mentioned before, this is a sponsored video. Do make sure to check out the description link in the box down below for links for where you can pick up Galactic Civilization 4 Supernova Edition on Steam. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.